There's one phrase social media tax bros love more than almost anything else in the tax code: ordinary and necessary business expenses. They hear IRC 162A, and what their brain translates it to is, if you used it for business, you can deduct it. You wore it in content, drove it to meetings, bought it to improve your image, or traveled somewhere and created content while you were there. They say if you can explain how the expense helped produce income, it's deductible. Okay, but that is not where the tax analysis starts. Before you ever get to argue that an expense is ordinary and necessary, you first have to escape a more basic rule. Personal expenses are not deductible, and tax court has placed a clear hurdle by saying some expenses are so inherently personal that even a direct business use, strong documentation, and a real connection to income will not make them deductible. So today, I'm going to show you why used for business is not the same thing as deductible. Okay, how tax court analyzes inherently personal expenses and the correct order for claiming a business deduction under 162A. And I'm Jasmine DiLucci. I'm a practicing tax attorney, CPA, and enrolled agent. A significant part of my work involves tax planning that actually survives an IRS audit. Okay, by the end of this video, you'll understand three things: the problem, why social media tax and finance bros misunderstand the ordinary and necessary rule; the law, the personal expense hurdle that you must clear before 162 even applies; and the strategy, how to separate legitimate business expenses from inherently personal spending and claim the deduction correctly. Here's the problem. Section 162 generally allows deductions for ordinary and necessary expenses paid or incurred in carrying on a trade or business. Online, that often gets reduced to one question: did the expense help the business? The clothes supported the personal brand. The luxury vehicle generated attention, right? The vacation created content. The gym membership improved performance. The cosmetic procedure helped the taxpayer appear on camera. Before an expense can qualify as ordinary and necessary, you first have to determine whether it is really a business expense at all. Okay, the question is not simply whether the expense helped you earn income. The question is whether it is fundamentally a business expense or a personal expense that also happened to benefit the business, right? Food helps you remain alive and operate your company, okay? Housing gives you somewhere to think and work. Clothing helps you look presentable. Exercise may improve your energy and productivity, and all of those things can be true, and those expenses can still remain personal. And this is where really bad tax planning starts. It begins with something the taxpayer already wants to buy and then works backward to create a business explanation. The tax court does the opposite. It starts with the nature of what you actually purchased. Online tax advice asks, can I connect this to my business? The tax court asks, what did you actually buy? And if what you bought is inherently personal, you may never reach the ordinary necessary analysis. Now that we've covered the problem, let's get into the law, okay, and the hurdle that you have to clear before 162 even applies. Section 162A allows a deduction for ordinary and necessary expenses incurred in carrying on a trade or business, but 262 draws the opposite line. No deduction is allowed for personal, living, or family expenses. The difficulty is that the same expenditure can sometimes have both a personal benefit and a connection to the taxpayer's work. Okay, so the courts have had to decide which character controls. Courts recognize this conflict, okay, many years ago, decades ago, and they developed a threshold rule. Some expenditures are so inherently personal that they remain non-deductible even when the taxpayer can clearly show a real business use. The question is not whether the taxpayer personally intended to use the items for personal reasons. The question is whether the expenditure is, by its nature, suitable for ordinary personal use by the typical person. This brings us to a great and fun tax example. Okay, Vitali versus Commissioner. The taxpayer worked for the Treasury Department and he wanted to build a second career as an author. Okay, one of his books involved two men traveling to a legal brothel in Nevada. And to make the story authentic, he visited legal brothels as a customer, paid prostitutes, interviewed them, and kept detailed journals about the encounters. This was not a business purpose invented after the fact, okay? He actually wrote the book, entered into a publishing agreement, helped promote it, and made it available through bookstores. Okay, the court noted that the finished book was based heavily on the people and the events that he documented. However, the IRS also challenged the prostitute expenses, saying if it was a business, they still weren't ordinary necessary business expenses. From a social media tax bro IRC 162 perspective, his argument looked really solid, right? He had a real writing business, a genuine profit motive, detailed records, and a direct connection between the expense and the income-producing book. The tax court even agreed that he was genuinely in the trade or business of being an author. And He still lost the deduction for the prostitutes. Okay, the court held that the payments were so personal in nature that they remain non-deductible under 262. Interviewing the women, documenting the meetings, and using the information in the book did not override the inherently personal character of the expense. And that is the hurdle. Okay, before you argue that an expense is ordinary and necessary, you first have to establish that it is not fundamentally personal. He had a real business purpose, detailed records, and a direct connection to the income, and he still lost because the expense itself was inherently personal. The court didn't disallow everything connected to the published book. It found that the trips had both business and personal purpose, so it allowed 3/5 of the taxpayer's travel expenses, but it allowed none of the prostitute payments. And that distinction matters. Okay, the court was willing to allocate expenses with legitimate business and personal components, but it does not allocate business and personal use to items that are inherently personal in nature, regardless of proven business use. So, what should business owners actually do? Okay, the strategy is not to become more creative at explaining personal spending. It is to apply the rules in the correct order. Step 1, okay, identify the character of the expense. Start with what you actually purchased before adding the business explanation. Is it fundamentally business, personal, or mixed? Inherently personal expenses often involve your body, health, and appearance or personal consumption, although this is not a hard and fast rule, but think ordinary clothing, jewelry, haircuts, hairstyling, gym memberships, cosmetic procedures, dental work, contacts, or glasses. These expenses may help you work, look professional, or appear on camera, but the personal benefit generally cannot be separated from the claimed business use. So the first question is not, can I explain how this helped the business? It is, what is the objective character of the expense, and is there a distinct business portion that can actually be separated from the personal benefit? Step 2, apply IRC 162. Okay, once the expense gets past the personal expense hurdle, then you ask whether it is ordinary and necessary under 162. The IRS has tried to read those words more narrowly in the past, okay, but the courts gave them a broader meaning. Necessary does not mean the expense was absolutely required. It just means it was appropriate and helpful for the business. And ordinary does not mean you have to buy the same thing every year. It just means the expense is a normal and accepted type of cost for that line of business. But that still doesn't mean that anything helpful is deductible, right? And for higher abuse items like travel, meals, vehicles, and clothing, there are additional rules inside of the Treasury regulations and court cases that you need to meet. And step 3, substantiate it. Okay, only after the expense gets past the inherently personal hurdle and qualifies as ordinary and necessary do you move on to substantiation. A receipt proves you spent the money. It does not prove that the expense was deductible, right? In Vitali, the taxpayer had detailed records and credit card journals, but those records could not rescue an inherently personal expenditure because the problem was the character of the expense, not whether the payment happened. And certain expenses also require more support under IRC 274. Okay, so for travel, meals, vehicles, and other high abuse categories, you generally need more than the receipt. Your records need to show things like the amount, date, place, and business purpose. Here's the bottom line. Online tax bros love ordinary and necessary because it feels broad enough to cover almost anything connected to the business, so they say you can deduct things that are clearly not legal. Okay, used for business does not automatically mean deductible. Directly tied to income does not automatically mean deductible. Documented does not automatically mean deductible. You first have to escape the personal expense rule. Only then do you get to argue that the expense was ordinary and necessary under IRC 162A. And if you want real tax law explained through cases that show exactly where social media tax advice falls apart, then subscribe.